I pushed open the door to Jake's basement and froze. My naked body stared back at me from the wall, printed in glossy 8x10, pinned between 24 other women like trophies on a hunter's lodge. My hands went numb. The photo I'd sent Jake last Valentine's Day, the one where I'd felt beautiful and vulnerable and trusted, was displayed like artwork in what I could only describe as a shrine to conquest. Each photo had a name scribbled underneath in marker. Mine said Sarah with a date and a number. I didn't want to know what the number meant. "What the hell is this?" My voice came out strangled. Jake appeared behind me, and I heard his sharp intake of breath. For 3 seconds, maybe 4, neither of us moved. Then he stepped forward, positioning himself between me and the wall like he could somehow block what I'd already seen. "Sarah, I can explain." "Explain?" I spun to face him. "Explain what? That you and your disgusting friends have been collecting women like baseball cards?" His face had gone pale, but he wasn't looking at me. He was looking past me, at the stairs, where I could hear footsteps. The 2 brothers, Connor and Ryan, emerged from upstairs, stopping dead when they saw me. Connor recovered first, that smug smile spreading across his face. "Oh shit, Jake, bro, you forgot to lock the door?" "Get out," Jake said to them, but his voice had no force behind it. "This is our house," Ryan said, shrugging. He looked at me with something between amusement and contempt. "Sorry you had to find out this way, Sarah. But hey, you should feel honored. You made the wall." I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip every photo down and tear them into pieces. Instead, I turned back to Jake, searching his face for something, anything that would tell me this wasn't what it looked like. "How long?" I asked. "How long has this been here?" Jake opened his mouth, closed it again. That was answer enough. "Since the beginning," I said, the realization hitting me like cold water. "You put my photo up here 2 years ago, and you've been bringing me around these assholes, letting me think they just didn't like me because I called them out, when really they were laughing at me the whole time." "It wasn't like that," Jake started, but Connor cut him off. "It was exactly like that," Connor said. He was enjoying this. "Come on, Sarah, you're not stupid. You knew what this was." "Shut up, Connor," Jake said, finally finding some backbone, but it was too little, too late. I walked closer to the wall, forcing myself to look. Each photo had details beneath it, names, dates, ratings out of 10. Some had comments. My stomach turned as I read them. These weren't just trophies. They were scorecards. And the handwriting varied, which meant all of them had contributed. "Did you share my photo with them?" I asked Jake, my voice deadly quiet. "Did you pass it around so they could rate me?" "Sarah, please." "Did you?" His silence was confirmation. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. Jake lunged forward. "What are you doing?" "What do you think I'm doing?" I angled the camera toward the wall. "I'm documenting this. Every single photo. Every name I can read." "You can't do that," Ryan said, his amusement vanishing. "That's our property." "Your property?" I laughed, and it sounded unhinged even to my own ears. "These are photos of real women who trusted someone enough to be vulnerable, and you turned it into a game. I'm documenting evidence." "Evidence of what?" Connor stepped toward me. "It's not illegal to have photos that were sent willingly, but displaying them without consent might be. And I'm betting at least some of these women were underage when these photos were taken." I continued snapping pictures, my hands steadier now that I had a purpose. "I'm also betting that some of them don't even know these photos exist. That's revenge porn in some states. Distribution of intimate images without consent." "Jesus Christ, Sarah," Jake said. "Are you seriously threatening to go to the cops?" I lowered my phone and looked at him directly. "I'm not threatening anything. I'm telling you what I'm going to do. I'm going to contact every woman whose name I can read on this wall. I'm going to tell them what you've done, and then I'm going to let them decide what happens next." The room went dead silent. Then Connor laughed, but it sounded forced. "You're insane." "Maybe," I said, "but at least I'm not a predator." Jake grabbed my arm, not hard, but firm enough to make me stop. "Sarah, think about what you're doing. You'll ruin all of our lives." I jerked my arm away. "You already ruined mine." I headed for the stairs, my phone clutched tight in my hand. Behind me, I heard them arguing in harsh whispers. I didn't care. I climbed the stairs, walked through the house where I'd spent dozens of weekends pretending everything was fine, and stepped out into the afternoon sun. My car was parked on the street. I made it halfway there before my legs gave out. I sat down hard on the curb, my breath coming in gasps. The photos were still on my phone. My photo was still on that wall. Everyone who visited that basement had seen me naked, had judged me, had reduced me to a number and a comment. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for Jake to come outside. He approached slowly, like I might bolt. "Sarah." I didn't look up. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know that doesn't mean anything right now, but I am. It started as a stupid joke in high school, and it just continued. I never thought about how wrong it was." "You never thought," I repeated. 2 years, Jake. 2 years. You let me believe you were different from them. That you respected me. I do respect you." Now, I did look up, and whatever he saw in my face made him take a step back. "You have a photo of me naked on a wall where you and your friends rate women like cuts of meat. You don't get to tell me you respect me. What do you want me to do?" "I want you to take down every single photo. I want you to delete every digital copy. I want you to contact every single one of those women and confess what you did." "I can't do that." "Why not?" "Because some of them are married now. Some of them have moved on. Bringing this up will ruin their lives too." I stood up, my legs shaky but holding. "No, Jake. Keeping this secret is what will ruin their lives. Because somewhere out there, someone else might see those photos. Someone might use them as blackmail or post them online or share them with people who know these women. You've created a ticking time bomb, and you're asking me to walk away and pretend it doesn't exist?" "I'll take the photos down," he said desperately. "Today, right now, we'll destroy all of them." "And the digital copies?" He hesitated. "That's what I thought." I pulled my car keys from my pocket. "I'm leaving. Don't contact me. Don't text me. Don't show up at my parents' house. We're done." "Sarah, please, I love you." Those 3 words, which I'd waited months to hear him say the first time, meant nothing now. Less than nothing. They were just sounds he was making to try to manipulate me into staying quiet. "You never loved me," I said. "You loved having me. There's a difference." I got in my car and drove away. I made it 3 blocks before I had to pull over because I couldn't see through the tears. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Jake and a dozen text messages begging me to talk to him. I blocked his number and started making a list of the names I'd seen on the wall. I had photos of 12 of them, clear enough to read the names anyway. My roommate Emma found me at the kitchen table, laptop open, social media profiles pulled up on the screen. "What are you doing?" she asked, pouring herself coffee. I told her everything. The wall, the photos, the ratings. By the time I finished, her coffee sat forgotten and cold on the counter. "Oh my God," she said. "Sarah, that's disgusting. Are you going to report them?" "I'm going to try, but first I need to find these women and warn them." "That's going to be hard. Some of them might not want to hear it." "I know, but I have to try." Emma sat down across from me. "Okay, what do you need?" "Help finding them. Some of these names are pretty common. And moral support, because I'm pretty sure I'm about to have 12 very uncomfortable conversations." We started with Facebook, then Instagram, then LinkedIn. Within 3 hours, we'd identified 8 of the 12 women. All of them lived in or around Jake's hometown. Most of them were around our age, early 20s, but 2 looked younger. That made my stomach turn. I started with a woman named Jessica Martinez. Her Facebook profile showed she was engaged, working as a teacher. I sent her a message explaining who I was and asking if we could talk. I kept it vague, not wanting to drop the bomb via social media. She responded within an hour. "This is about Jake and his friends, isn't it?" My heart started pounding. "Yes, how did you know?" "Because you're not the first person to reach out. Can you call me?" I called immediately. Jessica answered on the second ring. "How many photos did you see?" she asked without preamble. "At least 24, maybe more. I was too shocked to count." Jessica laughed, but it was bitter. "That sounds about right. They've been doing this since junior year of high school. I dated Connor for 3 months when I was 16. He swore the photos I sent him were private. Then one of my friends saw them on the wall at a party." "What did you do?" "Nothing. What could I do? I was 16, humiliated, and scared my parents would find out. Connor convinced me that if I told anyone, he'd send the photos to everyone at school. So I kept my mouth shut and avoided that house for the next 2 years." "Jessica, I'm so sorry." "It's not your fault. Look, if you're planning to do something about this, I'll support you. But I need you to understand that I tried 5 years ago. I went to the police. You know what they told me? That I sent the photos willingly, so it wasn't a crime. That boys will be boys. That I should be more careful about what I share online." Her words hit me like a physical blow. So they just got away with it? They always get away with it. Rich white boys in a small town? They're untouchable. Connor's dad plays golf with the police chief. We talked for another 20 minutes. By the time we hung up, I had more information, but less hope. Still, I kept going. I contacted 3 more women. 2 responded. Both had similar stories. Both had tried to get the photos taken down and failed. The third woman, Amanda Chen, told me she'd threatened to sue. "Ryan's parents paid me $5,000 to sign an NDA and go away," she said. "I was 19 and needed money for college. I took it. I'm not proud of it, but that's what happened." "An NDA? So you can't talk about the photos?" "Technically, no. But that NDA was signed under duress, and I was a teenager. I've been thinking about breaking it for years. If you're building a case, I want in." By the end of the week, I had 5 women willing to go on record. 5 women whose lives had been violated by Jake and his friends. 5 women who wanted justice, but had been told they couldn't have it. I compiled everything into a folder. Screenshots, testimonies, dates, names. Then, I took it to a lawyer. The consultation was free, which was good because I was broke. The lawyer, a woman in her 40s named Patricia Reeves, listened to everything without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair and sighed. "I'm going to be honest with you, Sarah. This is going to be an uphill battle. Revenge porn laws are still relatively new, and enforcement varies widely by state. The fact that most of these photos were sent willingly complicates things, and the statute of limitations on some of the older photos may have expired. So there's nothing I can do?" I didn't say that. Civil suits are an option. You could sue for emotional distress, invasion of privacy, potentially sexual harassment if there was any workplace or school overlap. The challenge is that these cases are expensive, time-consuming, and emotionally draining. And even if you win, collecting damages from a group of young men with no assets is difficult. What about criminal charges? You can file a police report. I'd recommend documenting everything you can first. The more evidence you have, the better. But be prepared for the possibility that nothing comes of it. The criminal justice system is notoriously bad at handling these cases. I left her office feeling defeated but not hopeless. I had a plan now, even if it was a long shot. Jake called me from a different number that night. I answered without thinking. "Sarah, thank God. I've been trying to reach you for days." "I blocked you, Jake. That should have been a message." "Look, I need you to stop what you're doing. Connor's parents got a call from Amanda Chen's lawyer." They're threatening to sue us for violating the NDA. This is getting out of hand. Out of hand? You violated dozens of women's privacy, and you think me telling the truth is out of hand? You're going to ruin our lives. Good. The word burst out of me. You deserve to have your lives ruined. You deserve to feel a fraction of what those women felt when they found out their private photos were being displayed like trophies. Sarah, please. I took the wall down. I deleted all the digital copies. I did what you asked. You took it down because you got caught, not because you realized it was wrong. And I don't believe for a second that all the copies are gone. How many times did you back up your phone, Jake? How many times did Connor or Ryan or any of the others send photos to each other? Those images are out there forever now. What do you want from me? I want you to turn yourself in. I want you to go to the police and confess everything. I want you to contact every single woman on that wall and apologize. I want you to face actual consequences for what you've done. I can't do that. Then we have nothing to talk about. I hung up. My hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was from anger. Pure, righteous anger that these men thought they could use women as entertainment and face no consequences. The next day, I went to the police station. I brought my folder of evidence, my list of witnesses, and a written statement. The officer who took my report was polite but skeptical. "And you say these photos were sent willingly?" he asked. "Yes, but they were private communications. They were never meant to be shared or displayed publicly." "But they were kept in a private residence?" "On a wall in a basement where dozens of people had access." He wrote something down. "I'll file this report, but I have to be honest with you, miss. Without proof that the photos were distributed outside that immediate friend group, there's not much we can do. It's not illegal to keep photos that someone sent you." What about the fact that some of these women were minors when the photos were taken? That got his attention. "Do you have proof of that?" One of the women I spoke to, Jessica Martinez, was 16 when she sent photos to Connor Walsh. She's willing to testify to that. He made another note. That could change things. If there's evidence of minors involved, that falls under different statutes. Let me talk to my supervisor. I waited in the lobby for 45 minutes. When he came back, he had another officer with him, a detective named Morrison. "Miss Collins, I understand you have allegations involving minors and explicit photos." I went through everything again. Detective Morrison listened more carefully than the first officer had. He asked detailed questions, took thorough notes, and seemed genuinely concerned. "This is a serious matter," he said when I finished. "I'm going to open an investigation. I'll need to speak with the other women you mentioned. Can you provide contact information for them?" I gave him everything I had. He promised to follow up within the week. 2 weeks passed, then 3. I called the police station repeatedly. Detective Morrison was always unavailable or out in the field. Finally, a month after my initial report, he called me back. "Miss Collins, I've completed my preliminary investigation. I've spoken with several of the women you mentioned, including Miss Martinez. Unfortunately, we don't have enough evidence to pursue criminal charges at this time." What do Miss Martinez stated she willingly sent the photos and maintained a consensual relationship with Mr. Walsh at the time. Additionally, the photos themselves are no longer available for evidence, as Mr. Walsh claims he destroyed them. Without physical evidence, it becomes a he said, she said situation. I have photos of the wall. I documented everything. Your photos show images displayed on a wall, but they don't definitively prove the age of the individuals in the photos at the time they were taken. They also don't prove distribution or intent to harm. I'm sorry, Miss Collins, but the district attorney doesn't believe we have a prosecutable case. I sat down hard on my bed, the phone pressed to my ear. So that's it? They just get away with it? I didn't say that. The investigation remains open. If new evidence comes to light, or if more victims come forward, we can revisit this. But for now, my hands are tied.
After he hung up, I cried for the first time since the initial shock had worn off. Not sad tears, frustrated, angry tears. The system had failed, just like Jessica had said it would. But I wasn't done yet. I spent the next 2 weeks writing. I wrote down everything that had happened, every detail, every conversation, every failure of the system to protect us. Then I took that document and I posted it online. Not on Reddit or Facebook or anywhere it could be easily traced back to me. I used a pseudonym and posted it on a forum dedicated to exposing sexual misconduct. I didn't use Jake's real name or anyone else's. I kept the identifying details vague enough to avoid a lawsuit, but specific enough to be believable.
The response was immediate and overwhelming. Hundreds of women shared similar stories. Some offered legal advice. Others offered support. A few journalists reached out asking if they could cover the story. I ignored the journalists. This wasn't about getting famous or going viral. It was about making sure Jake and his friends understood that what they did had consequences, even if they weren't legal ones. 3 months after I walked out of that basement, Jake's college announced they were investigating allegations of misconduct by several students. I don't know if it was related to my report or if someone else had come forward, but within 2 weeks, Jake was suspended pending investigation. He called me from yet another new number. "Are you happy now? You've destroyed my life. I'm going to get expelled." "I didn't destroy your life, Jake. I just stopped protecting you from the consequences of your own actions." "I loved you, Sarah. How can you do this to me?" "You never loved me. You just loved that I didn't know what you really were. But now I do, and so does everyone else." I hung up for the last time. 6 months later, Jake was expelled. Connor and Ryan faced no consequences because they didn't attend the school. The other friends scattered, some of them changing their social media profiles and trying to distance themselves from the scandal. Jessica, Amanda, and I stayed in touch. We talked about filing a civil suit, but ultimately decided against it. The emotional toll wasn't worth the unlikely payout. Instead, we focused on moving forward. My therapist says I'm making progress. Some days I believe her. Other days I still feel the shame and violation of knowing that strangers saw my most vulnerable moments and judged me for them. But those days are getting fewer. I'm back in school now. I changed my major to pre-law. If the system won't protect women like us, maybe I can help change it from the inside. Jake tried to friend me on LinkedIn last week. I deleted the request and blocked him there too. Some bridges need to stay burned. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Would you have gone to the police, or would you have handled this differently?